Hey, what's going on, guys? It is your good friend Matt. We are back again here today at the only place that we always can be, and as you know, that is Matt's Wrestling Collectibles right here on YouTube. So earlier, guys, we did a WWE 2K24 game review, and in that video, a lot of the time that I was spent in that video, I was thinking to myself throughout the whole thing, wow, I really want to start doing more discussion videos. I remember at one point back in the day, if you guys ever followed my old channel from quite some time ago, I used to do the day after review, which was Raw, SmackDown, NXT, anything under the sun that was going on at that time that I could get my hands on, TNA as well. I don't do those videos anymore because there is so much review and there's so much media out there today that it's not something that I would want to spend the extra time doing. But when it comes to discussion and videos of different things, products, maybe some of the bigger events, bigger matches, maybe some stuff that I go to live, I definitely want to bring that to you guys, and I want to be able to share it here on this channel to everybody who's watching. And so with that, I've been trying to figure out the best method to go with as far as being able to look at something and also talk to you guys at the same time. So finally, we are working with, I don't want to call it a hacked Nintendo Switch, but it's a Switch that is got the codes in it, got everything ready to go. We're online accessible. We're on there. And just to give you guys a little preview here for anybody who does or does not own a Switch. So we're on Ringside Collectibles here, guys. And obviously with this here, I can, do whatever. We can go through the whole website, can kind of overlook things and check things out. So with today's video, we're not just going to overview or review a set. We're also going to talk about a lot of this re-release and what's been going on as far as the re-releases of figures and just in general, why it might be beneficial and why it might not. So the pros and cons will be weighed out here in this video. That's what we're going to be talking about, as well as going over these from the vault figures. And that's what we're going to start off with here today. So the first thing that I want to do, guys, is we're going to get right into this. And also, while you guys are watching, you can either join in, and check out on your own end, maybe ringside, and follow along with me as I go here if you haven't already seen them. But we're going to go and check out this From the Vault set. And we're going to go through these one by one. We're going to review them. We're going to kind of talk about it and explain a little bit of what it is. So first of all, guys, this From the Vault set is a ringside exclusive set. It's going to be a set of 8 figures that are essentially all as Series 1. These are all figures that are Elite collection figures or Elite style bodies. So whether they were defining moments or actual Elite figures, or they might have been in a sub-series line or something, but they are all Elite scale figures. And we're going to check these out here today and pull these up so that way everybody can see it. We're going to see if, I don't know how well this is going to work, but we're going to try and do what we can here. So here we go. We got these up here. I'm going to show these to you guys. And we'll go through these even, like I said, a little bit better as we go through the video. But in this set, we have Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kane, Undertaker, Bubba Ray and Devon, Ultimate Warrior, and John Cena. And as you guys can see here, we're going to be really breaking these figures down because they're all just exactly what they are, from the vault. It is something that just about anybody who is a collector and seeing this, if they are not searching for all of these figures, the only reason why they're not is because they have the originals. And for myself, I can say to you guys that I do have the Dudley Boys original. I do have the Shawn Michaels still from Series 7. I go back and I look at things and I say, man, what a shame it was that I was kind of trying to be in business as well as collecting at the same time. And it is very tough to also sell the same thing you are in a hobby with, especially when you get to a point where sometimes that dollar sign might be looking really good, but later on down the road, you might be regretting it. And I am right now, because I do still have my Shawn Michaels from Elite Series 7 complete, but I do not have the Triple H. I do not have the Hornswoggle. I got rid of both of those over time. And funny enough, I actually still have the shirt that came with Triple H, but I got rid of Triple H along the way. But so like I was saying to you guys, we go through all these. We have Shawn Michaels and Triple H both from Series 7 Elite. Very, very iconic DX figures. Super, super nice to see them again. And, in a better form, I guess you could say. I do like the original head scans because it brings you back to the old Mattel days. But it is nice to see them get an update. They both have updated facial features, 5 o'clock shadow, beards, hair color, it's supposed to be more accurate, more fitting, the pinless joints, all that other great stuff, double jointed elbows, so on and so forth. But great figures nonetheless. We move over to The Undertaker, which was a Defining Moments figure. I believe that is Survivor Series 99. I could be wrong, but, don't quote me. But that Undertaker, an awesome figure as well. I had the original one at the time, and looking forward to being able to add that back to the collection now. And this will all come into, the conversation later, but this is why it's such a double-sided, double-edged sword when it comes down to collecting these and also seeing these re-releases. So from that Undertaker, we go down to the Kane. The Kane was a ringside exclusive already. It was the hardcore Kane with the hardcore title. So very cool to see that being re-released and, different packaging. Obviously, the style back then was more into the style of like Elite 13 and 14, that white packaging, still very curved with the, solid one side. And, so very, very cool to see that again back into the, the re-release of things. Like I said, when these figures come out, again, such a double-sided, double-edged sword, double-sided sword, however you want to say it, it sucks when they're figures that I don't want to say I feel don't need a re-release, because, it's nice to see different variations or whatever of figures as they go on. But some of them I feel like are kind of and we'll get into that in a minute. But so the Kane, very, very nice. Excited to get the hardcore title back again, because obviously, as far as I know, I don't think there was any other figures other than that Kane. Maybe one other figure came with that hardcore title, but none others that I can come up with. We've got Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley, and of course, those were, I think, in like the mid-40s, maybe like Series 45 or 46 Elite, somewhere in there. And to see these re-released is awesome. Definitely having better features a little bit. The head scans look like they could be a little bit better. Of course, we'll see when we actually get them in hand and get the final product. So that'll be cool to see when it does happen. We move over to the Ultimate Warrior. And so the thing with the Warrior that gets me is I wish that they could have just released him with the same color belt. I wanted that yellow strap Winged Eagle title. We already have the white one with the Hogan and Zeus San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And, of course, it was nice. We go back to the Warrior that was just in the greatest hits of Legends, and, again, a re-release. We go back to his original flashback series of that figure, and he came with a teal-blue strap Winged Eagle belt. And the newer one is like a pinkish purple. So, here's me. I go out to the store. I buy it, opened it up. I took the belt right out, stuck that in my collection, and then I took the Warrior, and I threw it right up on MERCARI, no belt. So it's like somebody who might really want that figure but could care less about the belt. I was the other way around because I already had the figure. So, like I said, a lot of good stuff that comes with it. And also, again, here's where I get into my so-so thing. The John Cena Defining Moments figure, absolutely incredible here, and to see that he has all of what he originally had, obviously, all his accessories, so on and so forth, an amazing figure, and absolutely, needed that to get back in my collection. However, I was more up for spending the money to get the Defining Moments figure than I am to get this figure. However, the set is pre-ordered. It is on its way. Whenever they start shipping those out, many of you, as well as myself, will have one. But the thing with that is I will definitely keep and be excited to add that to the collection. I guess it's just the original packaging, the original figure is what I think is so much better as a collector. So we can put this off to the side right now as we're done talking about those From the Vault figures. They'll come back into conversation here because, as I would like to say about all of them, they are all great figures. They are all amazing figures that definitely deserve a place in anybody's collection. And making them a new series, new set with that older style box design, with the newer style, smaller packaging design, and also being that they're going by series, so we'll get another series of these hopefully down the road from Ringside, which would be incredible. All great things with that, all great, amazing things that come with it. And I think that it will be something worth seeing where it goes down the road. And these figures, again, like I said, incredible, and definitely add them to your collection if you haven't already. amazing figures as they are, just on top of it being ringside exclusives, being that they're in a series going forward, this will be an incredible thing to start adding to the collection. But I will say this, when I do receive these, the Kane and Undertaker, those will be staying. The Triple H will be staying. The John Cena will be staying, but more than likely, the Shawn Michaels and the Bubba Ray and Devon will go up for sale. Not because I don't want to keep that series complete. Of course, I would love to have that whole set, but I already do have that Shawn Michaels. I already do have those Devon, those Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon. And I would just really like to say this part when it comes to the whole re-release and greatest hits and all these other lines. If you are a collector, and you could sound off in the comments below, obviously you probably are if you're watching this video, I would love to know from yourself, when you have these figures, or even if you didn't have these figures, so let's just say you were able to have the original, the re-release, or let's say you didn't have either of them and you could only go and buy one based off of the market of where they are, now. Not saying what they will be worth after they come out. If those Dudley Boys, let's just say they were selling for almost $100 a piece or $75 a piece, somewhere in there, it's $150 for a set. Would you rather spend the $150 to get that set of the originals, or would you spend the, whatever it is, the $70 or 70 something dollars that it is to, buy these new remakes, these re-releases? For me, it's such a tough thing. I really do love the originals. There's a lot of figures that I also think when they say re-release, I'm like, well, it's not really a re-release if it's not exactly the same. So to me, you look at the Bruno Sammartino figure that eventually we're supposed to get. I don't know exactly when that's going to be, but hopefully soon. That figure I would really like to get, but for a different reason. Everybody says, oh, this is another re-release, oh, these Bruno guys are going to be hating themselves for paying all this money. And I'm like, but I don't really think that's the case, because as you look into the Bruno that originally came out, he has blue trunks, and the new one is supposed to have green. It doesn't, to me, seem as though it's a re-release. It's just basically like a repaint. You know what I mean? It's like, how many Rey Mysterios did we get at one point in Jax and all these other ones? And of course, I understand that it's a different attire, essentially, all the way around. And I'm not saying that it's any different for Bruno. I get that it's a little bit more similar, because now you're saying, well, all the accessories he came with are going to be repackaged into this new one, which, again, yes, I understand, very much similar, but still has to be kind of different. I mean, at that point, blue trunks, green trunks. I mean, and of course, you're talking going all the way back to, I don't even know, that Series 25, Series 26, somewhere around there, versus, however long later that it's been since we've gotten a Bruno. It's been, God, what, 10 years? It had to have been close to it. I mean, a lot of people forget Mattel is now in their 14th year of doing WWE products, figures, accessories, whatever, so it's a very different thing. They're about to overtake Jax. I think if they didn't already do so, I believe Jax had the line from like 98 to 2010, so they had it for, I believe, 12 years or 13, something like that. So Mattel has just surpassed Jax in that time of being a provider, a producer of this product. So I will say, as we get into more things here, with the re-releases, let's go even into these greatest hits figures. We talk about a couple of the ones that I have even right next to me here. We've got Diamond Dallas Page. We've got King Harley Race. We look in front of myself, where you guys can't see, unfortunately, but in front over here, I've got Terry Funk in the Legends Greatest Hits. There's a couple other ones over here. Greatest Hits, I've got Typhoon and Earthquake that just came in. And great figures. You know what I mean? Absolutely great figures. So being somebody who collected for as long as I did, and again, guys, broken record here, I've said it in so many videos, but here it is again for you. I started collecting around 1998, and I collected all the way until 2018. I collected for a solid 20 years with no breaks, no stopping. I was always collecting wrestling somewhere along the way. And from 2008 till 2018, I ran the Match Wrestling Collectibles store, which a lot of you guys have, had the privilege of me being able to meet you. I'm so grateful to be able to meet you guys. For all those days that I had the flea market stand open, and so many weekends that I've spent, and it was fortunate enough to meet so many of you. And I appreciate every single one of you who supported me through those days, because I know we've gone so digital now. And those days, like I said, they mean a lot to me. I hold that in my heart, guys. So if anybody's out there watching me that either watched me in the past when I had the old YouTube channel way back in the day, or if you're somebody who's watching who used to purchase from me right from the flea market, and we actually had the life experience to be able to actually do business face to face, because I know so much of that has gone away. Those moments I hold really deep in my heart, and I love you guys for it. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I went a long time doing that, and I met a lot of great people along the way. So such a privilege for myself to be able to meet all of you that I did in those years. And so with that, as I've said, you go into, I guess, how do I want to say it here, guys? I'm trying to put this all together and come back to where we just were. We're getting off topic, we're getting off track. But you look at like all these figures, these re-releases and stuff, and like I said, you're going back so long, and the time that I collected. So in that period of time, I sold a lot of figures in those 10 years, in that 20-year span of collecting, but in that 10-year span of also having the store and selling, I sold a lot. Because I was always thinking, there's going to be another one. There's going to be another one. There's going to be another one. It was never ending. And especially with the way that we were so used to Jakks prior to that, we had gotten so many figures. But a lot of people also forget that when we got into that Ruthless Aggression era, when we hit 2003, 2004, and the figures really started to upgrade and start to get better, for some. But we started to get better figures, and we kind of forget that there was that long period of time with Jakks prior to that where we weren't getting figures that were that impressive. I mean, granted, the Titantron figures were really, really cool, and I loved those. There was a lot of bone crunching figures that were great, and I'm not saying that they weren't great in that time, but once you got to that evolution and evolved into those next figures, it was kind of hard to go back. So sometimes we forget that there was that portion of time where, it wasn't just 2003 or 4 till 2010 that we had Jakks. We had, Jakks from, like I said, 97 or 8 up till that time present before we got to those new nice figures. So I was always thinking, hey, I'm just going to get another one. It's going to be released sometime with a different version or whatever. So for somebody like myself who sold off so much, and then, as you guys know, and again, broken record here, when the flea market days ended, I started to take kind of a less of a passion into wrestling. I just didn't like the product at the time as a whole, and the product on TV made me kind of not really appreciate the product that was also being produced. And so sometime around 2018, 19, I really started to sell all my figures. And as you guys know, and I've said it before, I've said it many a times, I kept about 10 figures, and I got rid of everything else. From having 4,000 plus, maybe pushing 5,000 figures at one point, plus all the other memorabilia that I had with it. I mean, between magazines and any little thing you could find. If there was a backpack that was wrestling, if it was a notebook, if it was a pencil sharpener, if it was DVDs, if, like I said, if it was magazines, if it was something in a newspaper, if it was a beach towel, a blanket set, I had everything there was to have, and the list goes on. And it's just crazy to think that I had, at one point said, I'm done with this. I'm done with it all. I'm not coming back to it. It's that time. It's time to move on. And as many of you guys know, and I if you don't, then this will be a little bit of a backstory. The reason why I even got back into collecting was I grew up with my grandparents most of my life. My grandmother was absolutely my rock and my angel, and God rest her soul. She did everything for me. And when I had finally been done with this for so long, and unfortunately she passed away at the very end of 2021. It was January 2022. I decided I'm just going to go check out the wrestlers today at Walmart for whatever reason. And I came home with an AEW MJF, Chris Jericho, and I believe Rey Fenix, because they didn't have the Penta. So came home with those three, and here we are now. We're just a little over 2 years into this again, and around me I have probably 350 figures or so. Not too bad for a statistic, I guess, when you put numbers to days. But, well, numbers to days, but you're also putting the figures to the days to the numbers, so make sure you do that part as well. But, so, you know, you look back at, like I said, these figures that we thought we were going to get them again and again, and I sold off a lot of stuff. So, for me, as somebody who sold off their collection and is buying it back almost essentially in a lot of ways, I very much appreciate that we're getting these figures again. As somebody who also resells, I kind of have to hate it, but I also don't hate it because it gives me the chance to get some of these figures again. And it's kind of the same thing, guys. You know, of course, it's a little bit different. And as I say to people all the time, it's usually just the way the market is. I usually will pay 50% roughly of what retail value is on items. That's what most places will do if you're trading something in. And, you know, by the time fees and taxes and everything else have, you know, been configured into these items, you walk away kind of making about 25% of whatever it is that would have been the total. You know, when you're talking $100 item and you're spending $50, you're probably only going to make $25 or $30 on it. You know, that's just the truth in the matter after it's all said and done. So, it's nice when you can get those items again and they don't have to be that expensive. They don't have to be so, you know, pocket abrasive. They don't have to try to take you for every last cent. So it's very nice to get them again, and I enjoy that. I very much enjoy being able to put those back on the shelf, or the virtual shelf, so to speak. And so it's one of those things where it's so hard to say that it's hurting the collectors, because I really think it's helping them. It just all depends on how you look at it. Like I said, for the people that to this day will fight me tooth and nail and say, that Bruno Sammartino, it's a re-release, it doesn't matter, it's the same thing, it's the same figure. And that may be true, but one has blue tights, one has green tights. So there's that. You look at, like, the Terry Funk, who is in the Greatest Hits Legends line, and I look at that and I say, well, that's, you know, perfect example of basically a exact re-release. It is identical almost to the other one, unless there is such a tweak in it that I can't find, then it's basically spot on. We go over here to the Greatest Hits again, and I look up towards my Honky Tonk Man that is up there. And a lot of people were saying that that figure was actually the re-release of the Retro Series Elites, where they were like, I don't know if they were GameStop exclusives or what they were, but it was like Honky Tonk Man, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Macho Man. I think there was a Shawn Michaels like in rocker attire. I'm trying to think of who else was in that set. There might have been a Sting. I'm not sure. I know there was a Ric Flair. There was a Ric Flair. So I'm not sure who else might have been in there. But when the people were saying that that's a re-release of that figure, I could be wrong, but I believe the figure that was the Retro Series there that I just spoke of, I believe his jumpsuit was actually like purple, and that one is more of a blue. And you want to talk about regrets? I had the original Elite Honky Tonk Man that they came out with way back, and I think it was like Series 13 or 14. He had the red jumpsuit, and another one that I wish I never got rid of. You know, looking to build some of these guys back with their tires as well. You know, and there's a few that I do collect very heavily. Hogan, Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio, and a lot of them I collect for their attires. Especially with Stone Cold, majority of the time having like different vests. The Rock, you know, just whatever color is on the trunks. And that's another reason why a lot of figures get sold in certain ways, like where I said how that, you know, Ultimate Warrior Greatest Hits I sold that because I just needed the belt, so the figure is up for sale. Same thing with a couple of Rock figures I've had. If the tights are the same, might just need a few accessories, and that's that. So, but we shall see as time moves forward with this, because, like I said, we go back to these from the vault figures, and they are just absolutely amazing. I am excited, beyond excited, to add them to the collection, and Ringside doing an amazing job by giving us something that I think is a little bit more desirable with these re-releases or greatest hits. I mean, you go back to, like I said, the Diamond Dallas Page, as well as my King Harley Race, and if I had to say out of any re-release figure that I currently own that's available to own, that Harley Race is one that I could not have been more, I guess, playing the waiting game really worked. And I know some people like to do that, and it can work out great sometimes, and it works out terribly others. I really was very close to pulling the trigger on getting the Harley Race out of that series, which I don't think was the same as that Ultimate Warrior, but they were similar, like the Flashback series. I think that's what it came from. It might have been that same set. If not, it was another Flashback series. However, I was extremely close to buying it. And to make a long story short, there was 2 available on eBay. One was about $200. The other was in a set, the whole Build-A-Figure set, or the Build-A-Accessory set, whatever it originally came from. And I believe it was 4 figures that made the setup. It was Harley Race. I want to say maybe Stone Cold was in that set as well. Jake the Snake, I'm not sure. Again, guys, I know it's, like I said, it's in there, though, for sure. And they had that for $300. So I said, well, what would be the best move here? I should buy the whole set, because for $100 more, I can get 3 more figures, and I also have everything together and it's complete. And I was very, very close to buying it, very close to purchasing it. I was, like I said, I was right on the cusp of doing so. And it was only maybe a week or 2 after that, they announced the Harley Race being re-released. And I said, well, no reason to even get crazy with it now. And perfect example of a re-released figure that I believe still holds value. That original Harley Race, to me, it's still worth what it's worth. A lot of these figures are. If they're in their original box and they're their original to a re-release, I think those are always going to hold more value. The market will do what it wants. The market will always go up and down. But at the end of the day, I think true collectors are going to know what they're buying. They're going to want to know what they're buying, and they're going to want to feel comfortable knowing that the original is always going to be just that. The value in those are going to probably rise more so than not. And when it comes down to, like I said, that Harley Race, I'm glad that I waited. I'm glad that I got it, and spent a whole lot less money for sure. But one thing I will say is I do think with a re-release like that figure still holds some pretty good value as well. I think a lot of people are still, searching for that Harley Race one way or the other. So to know that it could still be potential money on the table down the road, it's always a good thing for the collectors that are trying to keep everything completely mint or perfect, as well as some of the people that do resell. And just to go forward with this, guys, the last thing that I guess I want to touch on is when it comes down to collecting, you should never be doing it to try to just make money. When I buy these figures, I always hope that they're going to go up in value and not, in reverse. But sometimes that's the way of the world. It's the way that things happen. Like I said, the market plays a big factor into things as well. Sometimes somebody could be gone from TV for months, and their figures go on clearance and they go on sale, and Ringside's trying to blow them out and get rid of them and be done with them. And then all of a sudden they make their return to TV and the prices start to go back up. And that's just the way the world is always going to be. That's the way the market is always going to be. But when it comes down to collecting, I will say this to anybody who is willing to listen. I've been doing this for a very long time. Basically almost 25 years now of collecting, even with the period that we took off. And I will say that out of everything I've ever purchased, I've always purchased it because I've wanted it to add it to my collection. I've wanted to have the item in my collection. I've wanted that to complete something within the collection. So when I purchase these items, whether they go completely into the green and it's a touchdown every time, and it's a slam dunk every time, and it's a hole in one, and it's the 1-2-3 at WrestleMania, pinning Roman Reigns clean with no bloodline, all I can say is I'm happy that I have them, and that's what this purpose is. That's what the enjoyment and the fun is within collecting. So if you're out there, if you're enjoying it, if you're happy with what you're buying, that's all that matters, and that's all that will ever matter. So guys, stay true to yourself, stay true to your happiness in collecting, enjoy it for what it is. You know, you never know when something's going to change. You never know when a license might run out. You never know when something might just be over. But one thing is for sure, as of right now, we've got a good road ahead of us that seems to be getting paved very well by Mattel. And I think Mattel is going to bring us in to the next decade, even still making great wrestling figures. And I think that that is something we can all count on. And maybe not hold our breath for anything, but Mattel is doing a good job, and I think that they're going to continue to do so. These figures mean a lot to me, just like they mean a lot to you guys. Like I said, collect for yourself, collect to enjoy it, collect to have fun, and hopefully, you know, you stumble across something that might be a gem along the way. But enjoy it, have fun while it lasts, and sound off in the comments, guys. What's your favorite Mattel figure? What is your favorite Mattel figure of all time? What's your favorite Mattel figure that you own? What's your favorite Mattel figure that you're looking to purchase in 2024? Guys, from me, myself, Matt's Wrestling Collectibles, you already know where to find us. It's on YouTube. I will catch you guys all in the next video. Till then, stay safe, stay tuned, and stay collecting.